The symbiotic relationship between corporations and government in the United States has evolved into a fiscal leviathan, with staggering sums of public money flowing into private hands. The historical journey towards this entangled web is marked by periods of increasing government intervention and a corresponding rise in corporate dependence. Prior to the 1960s, the U.S. economy largely operated under a more hands-off approach, with a low national debt and a limited role for government in private enterprise. The 1960s and 70s, however, saw the rise of President Johnson's Great Society programs and the Vietnam War, which led to a growth in government spending. The 1980s were a turning point, as Reaganomics, with its emphasis on deregulation, tax cuts, and increased defense spending, laid the foundation for a system where large defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Boeing became fundamentally dependent on the U.S. government. This trend accelerated in the 1990s with the rise of globalization and the tech industry. But this was then followed by an exponential growth beginning in the 2000s, driven by wars, financial crises, and expansion in social programs. The 2000s resulted in an astronomical rise in government debt, creating the modern system of government funding of private enterprise. Defense contractors, the very epitome of this system, exemplify this dynamic. Lockheed Martin, for example, has received an estimated $350 to $450 billion from 2013 to 2023, almost entirely through government contracts for military equipment. Boeing, similarly, has received an estimated $300 to $400 billion during this period. The agricultural sector, though often overlooked, is another large recipient of government subsidies, with an estimated $250 to $350 billion in cumulative spending from 2013 to 2023. These subsidies, while theoretically going to farmers, ultimately benefit large trading corporations like Cargill, ADM, and Tyson Foods, which purchase and process farm products. The energy sector is similarly dependent, with fossil fuel companies like ExxonMobil and Chevron receiving an estimated $150 to $250 billion. The pharmaceutical sector is a large beneficiary of subsidies at staggering $150 to $200 billion. Amazon's AWS has captured an estimated $60 to $80 billion in federal contracts. Microsoft follows closely with an estimated $40 to $60 billion, while Google is also growing in the federal space with an estimated $30 to $50 billion in federal contracts. Elon Musk's SpaceX comes in at a mind-blowing $25 to $40 billion. The current trajectory of government spending and debt is not feasible, and the continued reliance of major corporations on this type of public support is a risk to the long-term health of the U.S. economy. The sheer scale of corporate dependence on government debt, subsidies, and contracts is a defining characteristic of the modern U.S. economy, and the system is bound to fail.